So we all know what this is. This is a Nintendo 64. It is in for a complete refurbishment, which includes a complete recap of the motherboard. But not only that, we have a shell replacement to do with it. And let's check and see what color this is. I've got it out of the box. This is our shell swap, and this is honestly pretty cool. It's like a purple tinted translucent plastic. Very nice. And let's check, do we have gold? Oh my goodness, we have an expansion pack in here. Very nice. Next, let's talk about the tools that we'll need. So right here I have a game bit. This is a 4.5 game bit from iFixit with their driver. And then we have the, I think this is the Philips Z2 bit on the larger Manta driver that they have. These two, that's all you need to get into your N64. So let's get this opened up. And on the bottom, there's 6 of those 4.5 game bits, so we're going to get those undone. And then once that's done, we'll pop the top shell off. All right, so we have the top off, and I lied. So the bit that I had, the Phillips for the driver here, did not work. So this one, it's a little bit shorter and a little bit fatter, and it does grab onto these Phillips screws a lot easier. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to undo all of those, take this heat sink off. That's going to reveal the motherboard, and we can go over and get everything cleaned up because it is rather dirty. And if you're wondering what the bit is exactly that I'm using, it is a PH2, so Phillips and then H2, and you can find the bit, and it works great. Okay, we got the motherboard out, and you can see all the capacitors that we're going to be changing are all of these surface-mounted electrolytic caps right there. We can kind of just twist like this, and we'll get the little heat sinks off of these chips here, these little IC chips. And then one thing that I notice sometimes in videos is people will not remove this. They'll just kind of clean with a brush on the top here. This actually pops right out of here. And you can get cleaned under here, but I mean, look at that. It absolutely needs to be hit with some isopropyl. This whole board needs to be washed. So we're going to do that, and then we'll get to removing these. Someone asked in a previous video, how do you remove these? What's the easiest way? And I'll go over that, and then we'll get them all taken care of. And the isopropyl bath strikes again. It looks fantastic. I don't see any amount of corrosion or anything bad that stands out. I'm going to have to scrub these controller ports a little bit better before we get done, but we'll do that later. So let's get to the capacitors. There's a couple different ways that you can approach this, and you do have to be kind of careful because the solder mask, which is this green layer of the motherboard, it can pop up, especially if it's become brittle. It depends on the condition and how the system has been kept over the years. So let's start with one that's going to be relatively easy, and that is the bigger one right here. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of flux to help with the heat transfer, and I'm just going to hold like this right on this terminal spot right here, and then I'm going to pull and just slowly lift and just keep the heat going. You're not going to hurt anything. We're removing these, right? We don't care if they get damaged at this point. And just like that, we've removed that terminal. So now what I do to keep things consistent is I flip them like this. We're going to do the same on this side and just hold. And look at that. It just comes right off. And we're going to do this exact same thing for all of them. And I may need to change the tip of my soldering iron depending on the position here, because some of these are rather small. I can typically get in here, but see, I'm actually kind of limited. So in my case, I have a hot swappable tip. So let me grab another one. And the way you want to think about this is the more surface area we have on the tip, the more heat transfer we're going to get. So you actually want to have the largest tip that you can get for the job that you're doing currently. So right now, this one might not actually provide what we need, but I think we'll be okay. So let's see what we can get. It is moving. We just don't want to rip up any pads. So let's move this. Okay, we got that side done. And then same thing, I'm just going to kind of flip around so we can get this side here. And look at that, it literally just flows right off of there. So it's that easy to remove these. If you don't have access to a smaller tip and you're kind of stuck with something in between this one and the last one I was showing you, you can still do this. Remember, you don't have to worry about damaging these if you're removing them anyway, right? And some people will even just break them off and they can get lucky, but I definitely wouldn't recommend that. I would always just slowly let it heat up, so you don't rip any pads, because that creates a whole other issue to deal with. And then once that's lifted like that, we'll flip it around and touch this side, and usually it just comes right off of there. And the other side didn't. See, we want to be careful. We didn't quite get this side fully undone here. And just like that, just comes right off of there. So I'm going to do that for every single one of these caps. We'll get them all replaced real quick, and I'll get right back with you. And hopefully that showcases, in my opinion, the easiest way to remove these. And last piece of advice before I finish this. The flat surface side of these pads, so you'll see there's a little bit of angled corners or cut off corners on this side. This is positive, negative. So black, negative, you'll see how all the black ones are on the flat side of these white little paint surface here. That's how that goes. So there is polarity, obviously, so just keep an eye on that if you take off a bunch and forget how they were oriented. And just like that, we are done. And all the new electrolytic caps are on the board. So we are going to get this into our new shell, and let's move on with that. And things are going quite nicely. Looks good. And just like that, we are done. The shell replacement is done. The complete board recap is done. Everything is cleaned up with isopropyl. So let's get to testing it. I've got the AV cable plugged in here. We've got our power cable, and let's just throw a game right in and see what we get on screen. So we've got power. That's fantastic. And we have picture. So we are off to a running start. This is awesome. Let's test another game. And this is a reproduction card of some kind, maybe a homebrew version of Pokemon Stadium or something. I do not know. If you know, let me know in the comments. We got power, that's in. Awesome, and it is looking fantastic. And that's really it, guys. That is a complete restoration of a Nintendo 64. We've got a full motherboard recap of all the electrolytic caps. We've got a brand new shell. We've got our expansion pack in there, and we've tested some games. It is working great. So this is ready to sell. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below. Thanks for watching.